Yeah.
Brendan Sorsby, you up to date on him now?
I saw some today. I was watching the Rich Eisen show. It had Tom Pelissero on there talking to Rich Eisen, and I'm gonna go back to the judge's ruling, and I'm gonna go back to an event that Pelissero mentioned. The judge ruled basically that Brendan Sorsby should be able to play, for lack of a better, for his mental health, to not destroy him, in his future.
It's almost like
Like
that swimmer,
he
right?
hasn't been, yeah, it's like he hasn't been judged for his mistakes yet. Like you have to have some accountability. Like I have 4 kids and a grandkid, and I'm not gonna front. I talk tough. I'm a total pushover. But at least I give you the scare first. I listen, man. You don't get ready to get to school on time. I'm gonna take your car keys. I'm not gonna take his car keys because I don't feel like getting up and taking him to school anyway. So I'm like, I just yell at him through the door and bang on the bathroom door, tell him to hurry up. But like, at least he gets that. I'm just like, you know what, man, it's cool, man. Don't worry about it. I don't want to ruin your mental health. Yeah, I don't want to yell at him in the morning. But at like some point, like, dog, you gotta go. You gotta like, I need you to know that this is important. You gotta hurry up. Let's go. Brendan didn't even get that. He went to a rehab place. I don't know how rehab stops you from something that's scientifically programmed to make you do what you're doing. You can't rehab from that. Gambling is a thing that's locked into you because it's psychologically like the monkey and the banana trick. It's like a thing
So
with
it's like alcoholism, right?
casinos. It's beyond alcoholism because now it just plays on your mind. Like alcoholism affects you because the chemical that you actually put into your body, you create a dependency on it. With gambling, because social media companies being sued for this too, it's deliberate. The way the dings sound on your phone when you get a text message, the same way the dings sound in the casinos when you hear that. So I don't know what he got out of this in 6 weeks in a rehab location or 4 weeks, however long it's been. Because I don't even think it's been 6 weeks. Getting a judge to say his mental health is at stake. And then all these people saying, he's just a young guy that made a mistake. I'm like, dog, it was 4 years, $90,000. Pete Rose didn't get in the Hall of Fame because he gambled on his own team.
Which
Many
Sorsby did as
NFL
well.
players, like it's not as if you are behaving in a situation where there's some gray areas, some ambiguity. You knew you weren't supposed to gamble on your team, but you knew because you weren't traveling on a team, you still had inside information and you were betting on your team. So, like I said, personally, I would have let him play. You let him play, you get the injunction, you play it out. I thought the reaction of everybody else in, oh, the audacity of them to play. I'm like, yo, you have guys on your team that don't do their homework. Like, let's keep it real. There's 25 guys that are taking the same class, and one graduate assistant is doing all their homework. We know it. We know there's improprieties. Know these people got hired. So, like, you guys are out there breaking the rules. Listen, you're in the glass house. Don't throw stones. But for them to act as if he deserves zero punishment or zero scrutiny is beyond me. And the fact that he's trying to make this leap to the NFL was like, bro, talent versus tolerance. There's not a lot of teams that need him at quarterback. If he was a defensive end or offensive tackle, I think people might be, they might be able to turn a blind eye. Like, there's 32 teams. They don't need quarterbacks.
Well, he I do think there's a long leap between gambling and homework. You know what I'm saying? Like one is actually illegal, you know what I mean, within the sport that you're playing. But I get your point. And
yeah, but if you have also guys that are academically ineligible and you're letting someone else do their homework, that's the same. It's the same. I'm talking about just the fact that you have a guy on your team that will be ineligible on his own merit, and you are allowing someone else to do it. And I know these teams have that. Georgia Tech, it takes like a 1400 SAT to get into Georgia Tech. It's a very tough school to get into. You want to see a lot of schools the same way. All these guys that are playing sports are not meeting an academic level, so there's already some leeway being given. And I'm pretty sure you're
logical. I'm making the case for DEI. Yeah, and you know what I mean.
Everything's already DEI.
But
diversity, equity, inclusion is a natural state.
So the Big 12 came out and said, "We're going to court because." We should be able to punish you as far as keeping you out of the conference championship game, and all these other different punishments that the school would get, if they played Sorsby. So what does Sorsby do? He goes Texas Tech, says, you know what? I'm out. Now he's going to the supplemental draft. So now Texas Tech doesn't have that to worry about. Now they just have to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback, because their backup from last year is coming off the ACL, should at least miss the first 2 games. But those are the cupcakes anyway. You know what I mean? But Mr. Logical.
June 16th. College starts in August.
Yep.
June 16th. Man, just go ahead, drop out of your school, and walk on to our football team. We'll give you $4 million. Watch how pissed off they are when that happens.
Here's a question for you. What player got drafted in the supplemental draft and made the Hall of Fame?
Chris Carter.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah. So just some other notable names from the supplemental draft: Chris Carter, Bernie Kosar, Josh Gordon, Bobby Humphrey, the Boz, Brian Bosworth. This will be a name for you. You'll love this name. Tito Wooten. You know what I mean? Steve Walsh, Rob Moore, Terrell Pryor, Brendan Sorsby. So the rule of thumb on Brendan Sorsby was he was a late first round pick. Probably would go ahead of Ty Simpson. I didn't have him that highly. I thought of him more as towards the back of the second, early third, maybe. But now that he's going into the supplemental draft, do you think that a team, if a team does take him, because there hasn't been a player drafted in the supplement since 2019, so do you think that a team is going to just hold out if they want him until, say, the 5th round? Or do you just try to grab him because he's a quarterback?
So there hasn't been a quarterback taken in the supplemental draft?
No, there hasn't been a player drafted. A player in general.
I'm not sure you do, mainly because this just happened.
Just let it undraft. Just go undrafted and invite them to camp, maybe.
I don't think you do any of that.
Okay.
I don't think you touch them. I don't think you touch them mainly because it's like you have zero.
Jets and the Cardinals might need them.
I feel you. But you have, as far as we know publicly, I don't know what agency did an investigation. I don't know if there's been any depositions, any affidavits, anything that's sworn to that is an account of what happened, other than these reports that he was using like his own account or whatever, bank account, gambling account, this team. So there's no information as far as investigation that he was fixing games, that he was telling a guy who played safety to, hey man, let up that touchdown so we only win by 6 versus 13.
Like, hey, here comes the sluggo.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of information as far as like, because if you think about just gambling at that level and the risk you're already taking, I doubt, just my criminal justice brain, that's the only risk you take. Is like, I can't imagine you were just like, oh, I'm not going on the road with the team. I'm just gonna bet. Like, did he get access to the injury report? Did he share that information with other people? Was he part of a gambling group? But if there hasn't been any like a qualitative investigation, why, as an NFL team, am I going to take a chance on you? And then as soon as I do, someone reaches out to him and tries to extort him.
Fair enough.
Tells him, hey, if you don't tell me, if you don't get me this money, I'm gonna put the rest of the story out there. Now I'm the Cleveland Browns because for some reason they like to take a lot of quarterbacks. Now I got egg on my face with another quarterback. I just don't see the NFL team really taking that risk just because of the ambiguity in this case. Other than that, it's just him saying he's sorry. and the judge saying, "We don't want you to have bad feelings about yourself."
You want to
That's
play
it.
ESPN real quick?
Let's hear it.
Does the Texas Ohio State winner win the national title?
No,
Okay.
no.
I don't think so either. All
Just
right.
because
So,
is
okay.
it 24 teams this year? Or is it back to is it
No,
12?
it's still 12 this year. Still 12.
Still 12. It's still that's still a tough tournament. That's still a tough tournament to get through. Placement, who's going to get a home game, who isn't, who's going to play
Okay.
2,200 miles away from home,
Well,
who's
let's
going to
do
play
this a
200
different
miles
way.
from home.
Let's do this a different way then. Is it guaranteed that the winner of Texas Ohio State is in the playoff?
No. No, because I don't think Julian Sand is that dynamic of a quarterback. I think he was just a check down Charlie. And I have no idea if Arch Manning is a big game baller or not. I know his name says so. There's a few
Okay.
Super Bowls in his at his family Thanksgivings, but I haven't seen the moment where it's like, okay, this is college football top tier Arch Manning game changer. So they could beat Ohio State and still go 9-3.
Okay. So what I'm looking
So it's
forward
like, yeah.
to. So first thing I'm looking forward to this year, Mr. Logical, and obviously we'll have our previews coming up, probably closer to the beginning of July. But
Yeah.
but as I think about this, the first thing that I'm looking the most forward to, I think, is the SEC is finally playing their 9-game conference schedule. We've heard for years how tough the SEC is, how every week is murderer's row. Teams like Florida made it sound like they played Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, A&M, all of them in the same year. Last year they almost did, but generally speaking, they don't. The reason that I'm looking so forward to that, Mr. Logical, is because we were talking about how weak or not weak the East was earlier in the NBA. Well, in the SEC, Georgia or Alabama has won 12 out of the last 14 SEC titles. And I feel like Georgia is one of the most underappreciated programs there are, because people like you like to focus on what they do behind the wheel. You know what I'm saying? But here they are. And hold on. And I am not trying to disrespect the Golden State Warriors. This is just a fact. You know what I'm saying? Since 2020, Georgia is 73-9. And you know what I mean? So like I think that's one of those things. They've won 3 out of the last 4 SEC titles. They're 3-0 against Texas since Texas joined the SEC. You know what I mean? But I think that since they haven't necessarily been winning the national titles at the clip that they had started, I think people kind of just forgot about Dre, if you will.
But that's a huge thing. I think that's another part of fandom and fanatics and just this fantasy that people live in as people who watch sports. It's not a given to win the national championship. It's tough. And I know we talk about the SEC and these bowl games where the SEC will play like Iowa in the bowl game, or an SEC school will play like a Mountain West school, and they'll play like 7 or 8 bowl games, and the SEC will go 5-3 or 3-5 or something like that. And people like, is the SEC down? It's like, no. Look at your NFL rosters. Your NFL rosters are flooded with SEC players, so the SEC is not down. They do play a few more tougher games than other conferences, but I'm also not gonna be like, all right, cool. You are 8-4 in the SEC, SEC after your 12 games, and another team's 10-2. I can't just elevate you to the playoffs. I understand that the strength of schedule matters, but in the same sense, this other team plays the schedule that they played as well. So you got to rank them accordingly. Even though you might think like, 8-4 Mississippi State is better than a 10-2 Iowa State, but 10-2 does matter. Playing and winning your games that you play matters. So you have to take that into account. But the SEC is good football. It's good football.
Yeah.
They're good football players. It's spread out. The transfer portal has kind of evened it out a little bit, but you guys are still winning these games. They're still winning 9, 10, 11 games every year, the top tier teams in the SEC. And the bottom tier ones that lose their coaches and lose their players, they lose teams as well. So it's like they're not an invincible force. It's just this weird argument that people make is like, no, but they still have the best crop of players because that region of America produces the best college football players. It's just a fact.
And just because we're talking about the SEC, let me throw that plug out there. Mark your calendar, Mr. Logical. September 19th, Lane Kiffin goes back to Oxford.
I got another day for you, November 7th.
Oh, yeah, that's the big day.
That's going to be a crazy day. The SEC matchups are crazy, and the national matchups are crazy. So, like, the SEC is going to, unfortunately, not get all of their teams that they believe are like. I don't think they're going to get 4 teams in out of the 12, but I believe preseason, as an organization, they probably feel like they have 4 teams that should be in off the bat. But unfortunately, it won't work that way.
Well, the streets want to know: are you riding with the Gamecocks this year?
I'll let you know in the preview. They kind of burn me. It happens.
All right. What you got on your list? You got it. Oh, go ahead. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, like I said, they kind of burned me a little bit last year, but that was on me. I was kind of just hopeful. I think South Carolina, Penn State was like a hopeful thing. I'm looking forward to James Franklin, Virginia Tech. Say growing up in Virginia, my dad's an NBA fan.
You took it from
me. I think that's huge. I think his departure from Penn State was just. It goes back to my question that I always have. Is like, I get that this guy isn't beating the 2 top coaches in your conference, but what's the likelihood of you getting rid of him and bringing in a guy who has never coached on the level to even compete with those 2 guys? So it's like, it's a double-edged sword. I understand you need to make a change. I seem like the reason that they made a change. They had a bad run. Losing to UCLA was a bad look, and you probably chalked it up to like, yeah, you're out of here. But the writing was on the wall for so long, and it's like, why? Why is it right on the wall so long for a guy? Like, I get it. Ryan Day has a really good team. Ohio State's a really good program.
Well, the crazy part about it is
going to be, 11-1 Penn State.
Well, the crazy part about it is that James Franklin was basically Ryan Day in a lot of ways, as far as the record and, like playing against beating who they should beat. But here's the thing, to your point, right? Ohio State since 2015 is 117-21. You fired him because he couldn't beat them. Not because he couldn't beat them and Michigan or and Oregon or and whoever, but just because he couldn't specifically beat that team. But I'm looking forward to Virginia Tech
21 games in 11 years.
Yeah, and this is why I'm looking forward to Virginia Tech, because I think Penn State is going to be really good this year. They brought in Matt Campbell from Iowa State. I think they could still go 9-3, possibly 10-2. But when I look at Virginia Tech, the problem with James Franklin was, hey, you can't beat the top 10 teams. Oh, he in the ACC now. The only thing you got to worry about is Miami. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if Clemson decides to get their act together. But look at this, Mr. Logical. This is their out-of-conference schedule this year. VMI, ODU, and a road game at Maryland. You know what I mean? Now, in the ACC, they do go to Clemson, and they play Miami. So, as they used to say back in the day, anything less than 9-3 would be uncivilized. But, like, the funny part about that is their former head coach, Virginia Tech's head coach, Brent Pry, who they fired, was James Franklin's defensive coordinator at Penn State before he became the Virginia Tech head coach. Somehow, James Franklin got him to stay at Virginia Tech as the defensive coordinator, even though they fired him. You know what I'm saying? Like, That man can sell water to a whale, apparently. But he also is bringing in Ethan.
That's top tier recruiter.
Yeah, he's bringing in Ethan Grunkemeyer.
Catch a popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
He's bringing in Ethan Grunkemeyer with him, who was the quarterback that took over, after the injuries last year. They got Luke Reynolds, who's the number 4 recruit in the portal. He's got that Tyler Warren kind of ability. They got their leading rusher back, their first and third leading receivers. They got experience on the offensive line. It's all systems go in Blacksburg, I think. But to your point, Mr. Logical, we were talking about Ohio State and are they going to make the playoff or not? So this is a part of their schedule. At Iowa, Indiana, Nebraska, USC, home for Michigan. Oh, all those 4 were road games, by the way. At home for Michigan and Oregon. The USC and Oregon are back-to-back, and the Nebraska and Michigan are back-to-back.
No problem.
117-21, baby.
Ain't no problem. Like, the average, what is that, like 1.9 losses a year? And that includes probably some years where they had 3. Ohio State we talk about how Miami got Darren Mensah in the transfer portal. They kept Malachi Toney. But Ohio State keeps trench players coming through those tunnels and the horseshoe every year. That's where they win. Julian Sayin wasn't that good of a quarterback. I think he had a little over 3,000 yards passing last year.
So Mr. Logical didn't like that 80% completion percentage.
Because he's throwing them but flat routes and slants. They got Chris Henry Jr. coming in. So they every year they get the top high school recruit from one of the top high school programs nationally. I imagine they have the pick of the litter for the top players in the state of Ohio just immediately. Like, just if I'm a 4 or 5 star player in the state of Ohio who plays rivalry-based high school football, like big deal games, like there's high schools in Ohio that have indoor training facilities and the Bengals don't. So like that's the kind of high school football that they play in Ohio.
You love shitting on the Bengals, don't you?
But that's just a testament to how good the football is in Ohio. And then you still have Western PA guys that still go to Ohio, and then maybe a couple of Michigan top tier guys that don't get offered to Michigan at the level that they want. Now like, okay, fuck, I'm gonna stick it to Michigan. I'm gonna go to Ohio State. They have that in the bag, on top of all of the money that comes in through Nike endorsements, popularity endowment, everything else. So they have everything you need. So even by accident, even if Julian Say doesn't play well, or say God forbid he rolls an ankle, and you got to bring in like a backup or your second, third string guy, that guy's probably a 4 or 5 star recruit from some national program. So you're going to plug and play with some of the best players in the country. Yeah, long as you execute, hold on to the ball, you're probably going to win any game you're in if you're Ohio State.
And I was talking to one of my Michigan buddies the other day. He told me that the biggest win that Ohio State ever had over Michigan was Toledo, and can you really count that as a win? So then, you know what I mean? Here's one for you. Are you excited to see how different the national champions look? And what's Sig Nasty going to do this year?
I don't know how many dudes he has on the team that were born in 2004, but he probably has a lot of them, because that's how you won. A bunch of guys that were born right after the towers fell was still playing college football this past January, and that's how he won. I don't know if it's the program or if it's just his program is probably good. Like, he talked about his practice and how, efficient they are.
Mm-hmm.
But that works if you have a guy who's been in a college football defense for 3 years, in a college football locker room for 3 years, putting on 20 or 30 pounds of muscle. And now you're just putting them into your 4-3, your nickel your zone run scheme, your RPO action, all the other stuff, because they've already been developed at another school. So if the quarterback they got from TCU, I know Sonny Dykes kind of threw some shade about how many times a kid turned the ball over.
He was just
Uh,
better.
yeah, understandable. But if that kid watches enough Mendoza tape and was like, "Yo, this is the RPO, this is slant route, throw it, and we'll be good to go." But that's gonna be interesting. I can't imagine that it's gonna be as good as the
As
past couple
last
years.
year. Yeah. And I got my eye on UCLA because, Bob Chesney, the new head coach out there, guess where he came from? James Madison. Guess what he's bringing with him? James Madison players.
Madison.
And, and those are guys that did play in the playoff last year. I know what happened when they got there, but they did make it. Oklahoma State, I'm excited for this. They got Drew Mestamaker, who led the nation in passing last year at North Texas. They got Caleb Hawkins, the running back, who was first in rushing touchdowns, fifth in rushing yards. Wyatt Young, third in receiving yards, and they led the nation in total offense and scoring. And the best part? They're going to the Big 12. So, don't be surprised to see Oklahoma State with a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's I mean, the movement of the coaches and the players and taking the players with them. I get it. I love the loyalty. Hopefully, my son gets his offer here in the next couple of weeks. He plays well. That coach gets hired on and takes him with him. But right now, you got to see how it plays out. So far, It seems to be effective. It seems to be effective to hire a coach from a smaller school that has some success, and then allowing him to bring whatever allotted number of his top tier talented players are who still have eligibility. That seems to be the blueprint. We talked about it after the national championship, like who could be the next Indiana. A turnaround at Oklahoma State. Say they get you a good 7-5 this year. I think that could get some guys who are like third, fourth string in Oklahoma and say, you know what? Maybe Stillwater's
Let's
not a
go to
bad
Stillwater.
idea. Let's go to Stillwater. See what we got. This was this Nussmeyer? What's the
Mestamaker?
Mestamaker.
Oh, yeah.
If Mestamaker's out here, 3,900 yards.
And I think he was just a freshman last year.
He was a freshman last year. So if it looks good enough, I think you'll be able to, talk a couple of guys into leaving Norman to coming over to Stillwater.
All right.
Maybe a couple of guys from Austin to make that trip north. You never know.
All right. Last question as we, have this last little portion of our conversation. In the last 17 years, there has been one preseason Heisman that actually won the Heisman. Can you name that Heisman?
Did he win it? He didn't win it. Preseason Heisman that actually won it.
That actually won it. The last one.
Baker Mayfield?
So. No, that's a good guess, though. Marcus Mariota.
Good one. I was thinking Adrian Peterson, but he didn't win it, right?
No, he didn't win it somehow.
He should have won it, but he was a freshman. And they were like, that's before they gave it to freshmen.
Yeah, Jason White won it. I think it was 2004. And then, yeah. But anyway, so I say all that to talk about the Heisman, So are there do you think that Jeremiah Smith?
No.
Why not? Tell me more.
Because his numbers, in order to win the Heisman as a wide receiver, your numbers have to be ridiculous. And I think Ohio State's just going to beat the hell out of teams to the point where throwing the ball to him to get him. I mean, like, wide receiver, you need 1,400 yards, 12 or 13 touchdowns to really be in a Heisman conversation.
Let's see what Larry Fitzgerald had.
He's going to be doubled so much. And then, like I said, I think Ohio State's depth and just the talent that they have, they won't have to throw the ball at him that much. They're probably going to run 3 running backs out there, a couple of tight ends, the multitude of wide receivers. I think he'll be a 1,000-yard guy. But I think some games he'll just be out there running cardio because they're going to triple team him.
So Larry Fitzgerald. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I just feel like with the wide receivers, it's unfortunate with the awards because in order for you to have a good year, normally at one of these top tier programs, the quarterback's also having a top tier year. Devontae Smith, when he went, I think he had like 20 touchdown receptions. And Mac Jones is just throwing them bombs. But it just was like he was such an elite wide receiver in a group of wide receivers that it was proof that it wasn't Mac Jones and that he was a creme de la creme of that group of wide receivers. And of course, it's Alabama. So that's why I think he won and earned that Heisman.
All right. So I wanted to get to this in this particular. It just happened as you were talking. That's why I thought of it. So I thought Larry Fitzgerald should have won the Heisman back in 2003. To your point about the numbers. But as I was looking at this real quick, I got to go down this ballot. Just to show you how old we are. So Larry Fitzgerald that year in 2003, 92 catches, 1,672 yards for 18 yards a catch, 22 touchdowns, and he finished second. With 22 touchdowns, he finished second.
In 2003?
Okay. Yeah. So Jason White won the Heisman that year. So that was the year that I was talking about Adrian Peterson. All right, this is the rest of the – well, I ain't going to go down the rest of the list, but here's the names that pop on the rest of this list.
All right.
Third was Eli Manning. Fifth, Darren Sproles. 6, Matt Leinart. 7, Phillip Rivers. 9, Ben Roethlisberger.
Darren Sproles. Wow.
Yeah, he was Mr. Everything.
Yeah, but normally they don't really, because like right now the odds, all right, the top contenders for the 2026 award include C.J. Carr. I don't know why. Arch Manning, Trinidad Chambers, Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sand, Josh Hoover, Dante Moore. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So like the award is just so slanted to quarterbacks that Jeremiah Smith is probably going to be your first plug and play pro out of this group of 7 players. But yeah, he's fourth to win the top tier award of quote unquote amateur football.
And what's crazy is I would probably add Mensa to that list. I would probably add Gunnar Stockton to that list. But real quick,
I wouldn't have 6 quarterbacks. I would take 4 of them off.
But to your point, real quick, because we were just Darren Sproles had 1,986 rushing yards that year. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, but as far as the Heisman goes, like it's interesting, right? Because you could even argue that if you were just talking about impact, forget the stats for a second. You know what I'm saying? If you just wanted to talk about impact, what they bring to the team, what they do on the field, I would, as much as I hate to say this, I would probably give Malachi Tony a vote at some point.
I was thinking the same thing.
You know what I mean?
He's going to be he's down there somewhere.
Yeah, he's electric with the ball in his hands. He's going to have highlights, if nothing else. So
he'll probably have two punt returns for touchdowns. Maybe, hey, we need a big kickoff here. We're down 23-20 in the fourth. He's going to go return the kick. I think he's more likely to have the Heisman moment just because he's so dynamic with the ball in his hand. Whereas I'm gonna take an Arch Manning off this list. I'm off the Arch Manning train. I'm saying it right now.
Okay.
Like, I'm just not buying it. Because he would have beat out Quinn Ewers if he was that nice. He would have beat out Quinn Ewers 2 years ago.
And then I don't want to sound like last year, but saying I'm gonna add in Ahmad Hardy to this list. All the talk about what can he do coming from the Sun Belt to the SEC. He had 1,649 yards and 16 touchdowns, second in the nation in yards per game, rushing yards per game. So I'll add him to the list. You probably got to add Marcel Reed from A&M to the list. So like, hey, it's going to be interesting. Like the Heisman, it's dependent on a running back probably getting close to that record again. Because Ashton Genty was chasing the record, and that was part of the reason why people thought that he could win the Heisman, because they had him breaking the record that he fell, I think it was 89 yards short of or something like that. So that didn't work out. So yeah, it's going to be a quarterback award until it's not. I think CJ Carr has a good chance because he plays for the right school. You know what I mean? Like, I guess to some degree, and maybe this is me just making this up in my mind, but to me, that Notre Dame quarterback is like the college version of the Cowboy quarterback. Just the notoriety that comes with that.
I still need 12 games.
Hey, all you got to do is beat Miami. He in the conversation.
I need 4,000. I need 4,000 yards and give me 37 touchdowns, less than 7 picks. Like, I need a big year out of a team that doesn't produce that from the quarterback position.
Yeah, last year he had 27, 41, and 24 touchdowns.
Man, go ahead and take him off the list. Just go ahead and take him off now. You mean tell me he's going to have a 14 – like, he needs at least 1,300 more yards of improvement.
Well, I mean, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price aren't there this year. They might throw the ball a little bit more.
So now when you are in 3rd and 10 all the time, yeah. Like you said, it's the color on the helmet. He shouldn't be on the list. I'm taking Arch off the list. I'm taking Julian Sand off the list. Who else did I have? Give me I'm taking Dante Moore off the list. I'm taking all the quarterbacks off the list other than Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah, so, Trinidad. If Ole Miss can either, I'd say, go 10-2, or get to the SEC title game, or both, then with all the drama, that's where the storyline comes in. Kiffin left, new head coach. He's a defensive head coach at that. So if Chambliss has the same type of year that because you could argue that, he was in the Heisman race last year and was probably a front runner at different times, throughout the year. So if he does that this year, then yeah, he probably will bring home the Heisman, even though a lot of people are going to be upset and think that he shouldn't even be playing.
Hey, listen, the judge said it. You couldn't play that year, could you? It was. It looked like an episode of what was it? What was that show we used to watch when we were young? The news show. Not the news show. The court show.
Night Court.
Matlock.
Matlock, Perry Mason, all that. You know what I'm saying?
It sounded like one of those. You mean to tell me you couldn't play football because you were sick, right, son? That's exactly how he sounded. I was like, he was like, no, sir, I couldn't play. He's like, you know what? I think you deserve another year playing football.
And shout out to Kojak, you know what I mean? And and I forgot to mention, I want to see Vanderbilt year 1 post Diego Pavia. Is because they got the number 2 recruit in the nation at quarterback. We'll see if he plays this year. But the point being, were they just a Diego Pavia thing, or are we starting to see a new school kind of rise up a little bit? And then, of course, before we close, I just got to say, Coach Prime. What Colorado going to do this year? Let me see it. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen, I'm always going to be a Deion fan, but it is a 7-5 team at best, just because I don't think they just.
I'm wondering if they're looking at 4-8.
I don't think I think the celebrity of the team takes away from the brotherhood you need when you're. I don't think Deion thinks he's at a disadvantage in Colorado. I think he treats his program as if it's as successful as a perennial SEC, Big 12, old Pac-12 program where it's like, hey, this is the name on the front of the jersey. You come here, we are the standard. I believe he instills these standards into his players, and I think he has a standard built into his program that's usually been, mildly successful. I just think he thinks it's more successful and more appealing than it actually is. And I don't think he holds on to players because of that. I think he feels like, oh, I'm prime. I'm a Hall of Famer. I've raised Hall of Famers. I've been successful everywhere I went. Colorado is just another place where I'm successful. And then people are like, nah, dog, you were successful because you raised a successful quarterback and you were able to get the top recruit in the country to come to your school and travel with you. But you're losing offensive linemen every year, and that's where you're weak every year. You're losing running backs every year. That's where you're weak every year. You're rolling the dice with quarterbacks every year, and it's like you're not replacing your son with these guys you're getting.
Well, they got Julian now. You know what I mean? He played at the end of last year, so maybe those couple of games under his belt, gave him a little bit to look forward to this season because he was a highly touted recruit. So Julian Lewis. So we'll see how it goes. I just don't think that they just don't have the trench play. Like that's why
every year.
And the good news is they're in the Big 12. So like all these teams are kind of lumped in a bowl together.
You still got to be able to pick up the blitz on 3rd and 2. You got to be able to, if you're going for it on 4th and 1 at midfield, you got to be able to call a run play and get that off. Like if it's 3rd and 17 and you got a deep drop, you got to be able to hold up front so that route develops on the back end with your quarterback that isn't Shador and wide receivers aren't Travis Hunter. And I'm not sure if there's
or Wester.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or Horn.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone in the building that can tell him, I don't think we are there as a program. Yeah. I think I won't say the ego, but I think the overwhelming confidence that he's always had. It's like someone has to be there to tell you, like, yo, dog, this isn't working.
Yeah, it's like Floyd Mayweather trying to get back into the ring with Manny Pacquiao again. But ladies and gentlemen,
Manny not to do it.
He is the world-renowned, world-famous, cool, calm, and collected, representing New Jerusalem by way of the great state of Texas, the Lone Star, and the Commonwealth of Virginia. He is Mr. Logical. Don't bring feelings to a fact fight.
Don't do it.
And for the right price, he can be a Nets fan. Then over here in the Alamo,
straight up for AJ.
Your unorthodox statistician going left so much. You thought I was southpaw. You hear that, Pacquiao? Take heed. I go by the name of 2-5. This is Sports Reports as Ordered. We love y'all. We will be back on Friday, for our second show of the week, getting us ready for the NBA draft on Tuesday night. We will be live for that. So, enjoy the rest of your week. Catch you in a few days. And then Sports Reports is Ordered. Out.
Hey. Sports Report, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chasing, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout. Mic check, lights flash, game time, stay ready. 2 vets in the zone, keep the pressure real heavy. Big hits, big plays, yeah, we breaking it down. Truth rings in your speakers, every word is the crown. From the north side hustle to that southern flame. Midwest grind, west coast of the game. Sports talk kings, yeah, we wear that crown. Turn it up, let them know it's about to go down. Sports Report.